Yeah, shit. Here I come, yo. Ali Ox, kung fu grip. Mama must know sign language. Play a nigga like a fiddle. Ho, you ain't shit. On the real, she tried to kill my mans. Niggas kicking the door in. Shut up, now I'm out for revenge. Got the money off the sofa. Bitch, get up off of me. Colonel Wait stink me to keep hateocracy. B-O-B-C, be the credo. Keep on. Not try and go out like Bushido.
Check me out. Look, see they don't run to my city, they run from my city. Everyone pack a gun, they don't run in my city. Where it ain't no 101, where I'm from, that's my city. Snatch a crumb, run your tongue, niggas done in my city. Fatality is normality, casually deal with tragedy. Weapons in the academy, students checking the faculty. Truth is this is insanity. Northern, Northwestern, Amityville horror. Ain't got shit on Dayton and Landis Street. We wear it like a badge of honor, record like my badge of honor. He shot so I had to pop him, no pops and that's half the problem. Adopting they dash persona and don't even know with aggression because he left them. They in a race to the bottom. Houses abandoned and boarded up. Gave us hope and you tore it up. Feel like they misinformed us, deported us, then aborted us. Loved us and then got bored with us. Kissed us, then shut the door on us. Look what you did to us. I'm here, but yeah, it's more of us from.
The good old Boondocks. This is one of my favorite shows of all time. I frequently watched it growing up, and even today I go back from time to time so I can watch my favorite episodes. The show is known for its humor and social commentary, but something that always stood out to me was the music and musical references littered throughout the show, specifically the rap and hip-hop culture references along with the music. The show's commentary on rap and hip-hop culture always fascinated me. I've contemplated about doing this video for a long time, but recently I sat down and rewatched the entire series. But before I get any more into the video, I would quickly like to plug that I made a TikTok that you guys should go follow. I'll be posting content on there. I'm trying to get that popping, so definitely go out and support that. And if you haven't already done it yet, go follow my Instagram too. That would be greatly appreciated. You guys can always reach out and just show me some love on there. It's all good. Some things I want to get into before I start talking about the references episode by episode is that the show's main theme and outro music are done by Asheru. The theme would be remixed in later seasons. He also wrote several songs for the series. The characters of Gangstalicious and Thugnificent, who are the rappers in the show, aren't based on one particular rapper. They're rather more representative and a parody of the rap and hip-hop culture, especially at the time. In fact, after season 2's release, Aaron McGruder would be asked about what he thought about the state of hip-hop. At the time, he felt like he was lucky to hear a couple of good songs. His expectations were very low. He felt like the problem with rap music was the laziness artistically. To him, music wasn't diversifying and evolving like it should have. Rappers were constantly rapping about the same stuff: money, cars, girls, etc. This is indicative of the subject matter of the songs that Thugnificent and Gangstalicious have on the show. Gangstalicious has songs like Thug in Love and Homies Over Hoes. Thugnificent has songs like Booty Butt Cheeks and I'm Rich. The first season of the Boondocks would air on Adult Swim in November of 2005. There aren't any references to the topic of the video in the first episode, but the second episode does, with it being the R. Kelly episode. The trial of R. Kelly is about R. Kelly having a trial for allegedly urinating on an underage girl. Riley and Huey have opposing opinions about R. Kelly, with Riley thinking of R. Kelly of being innocent. Despite what R. Kelly is being put on trial for and the evidence in the case, he still had a lot of people supporting him due to his status in R&B. In the show, he drops self-incriminating evidence. In the video, you can clearly see it's him. To further this point, he even says his social security number. The Boondocks would accurately predict that R. Kelly would get off scot-free, which he did in the episode and in real life initially. I say predicted because early in 2002, a video of a man believed to be R. Kelly and a minor began circulating. In June of 2002, R. Kelly was indicted in Chicago on 21 counts of child porn. As mentioned, the first season of the Boondocks came out in 2005. Though it came out in 2005, the R. Kelly episode was written years before its release. Ultimately, in 2008, 3 years after the R. Kelly episode aired, he would be acquitted of the child porn case. Despite all of the evidence and allegations against him, people still supported him. It wasn't until the Surviving R. Kelly series that things really started to change. As far as the other references in this episode, Bobby Brown and Whitney Houston appear on TV at the beginning of the episode. Also, R. Kelly's voice actor is uncredited. The song Booty Butt Cheeks will play in the episode, even though we would not get introduced to Thugnificent as a character until season 2. There are multiple songs that play in multiple episodes throughout the series. Those songs being Thug and Love by Gangstalicious and Booty Butt Cheeks and Stomp 'em in the Nuts by Thugnificent are examples. The last thing that I want to mention about the R. Kelly episode is that when R. Kelly gets found to be innocent, he jumps on the table and starts singing the song. People have been trying to find this song and instrumental for years, but unfortunately, it looks like it was only made for this episode. That sucks because out of all the original music made for the Boondocks, this is the song and beat that I really want the most. The third episode of the first season would be Guess Hoes Coming to Dinner. Gold Digger by Kanye West plays during the shopping montage with Cristal like the champagne and Granddad. Aaron Magruder had originally just included the track in a cut of the show that was not meant to air. He was just trying to convey the tone of the scene. However, Adult Swim and Sony liked it so much that they acquired the rights to the song. She's No Good by Asheru plays in the part of the episode when Riley and Huey are obtaining evidence of Cristal being a hoe.
Alright, we on a mission with spy cam vision. Yeah, it's wrong, but I'd rather beg forgiveness than permission. Something is off. Who's this mystery lady? She's crazy and something in her eyes looks shady.
There sadly isn't a full version of the song, with it seemingly just being used for this episode. In the fourth episode, Granddad's Fight, the song Guillotine Swords by Raekwon, which is on his 1995 album Only Built for Cuban Links, plays when Huey dreams about fighting a blind swordsman. The song fits the segment perfectly, and it's one of my favorite segments in the whole series. After season 3 of the show, Raekwon was sent a Vio Boondocks themed computer. In the video that Raekwon received this computer, he also expressed interest in doing voiceover work for our character in season 4.
Yo, shout out my man Aaron Magruder for, sending his brother some of this good old product from the Boondocks. Great show too, you know what I mean? I killed it. I love it, you know what I mean? Yeah, this is hot right here. Yeah, I need this. I need this when I'm on the jets and all of that, and got my elbows out and all that. Yeah, it's a nice computer right here. Yeah, digital style. Boondocks official, you know what I mean? It's a Vio computer, a miniature joint, you know what I mean? Yeah. Yo, I know this is the last season joint, but you gotta do one more season, man. Call me, man. Can I get a voiceover, man? Let me be somebody in the hood, man. Let me be an OG in the hood or something. But it can't be the last season, for real. I know this is what it is, but do it for us, man. For real, man. We love this show. For real.
It would have been great if Raekwon could have voiced the character in the series, but season 4 definitely wasn't the season to do that. Also in this episode, the fictional rapper Eat Dirt makes his first on-screen appearance. While Riley is watching TV, Eat Dirt wins the Artist of the Year award at an award show. Not that long after this, a chair hits him in the head. After this, a fight breaks out. A Date with the Health Inspector is the next episode, and there are a few references. One in particular is when Ed and Rummy are in the gas station. Rummy tells Ed, "Watch my back, I got your front." This could be a reference to the song I Got Your Back by GZA, where he says something similar.
I got your back, but you best to watch your front, 'cause it's the niggas who front, and he wanna stunt.
This could also be a reference to the intro of Mobb Deep's song Shook Ones Part 2.
Just watch my back, I got your front. Check it out now.
Now, I tried my hardest to find the entire song that played when Rummy and Ed Wensler III got into a shootout at the gas station during this episode. From doing a little digging, it appears that the song is called Die Without Vengeance by the McReal Brothers. Sadly, years after this episode is aired, the official song seems like it cannot be found anywhere.
Time's up!
The 6th episode of the show is dedicated to telling the story of Gangstalicious. I do want to address something though. It's really weird because I stream this series on HBO Max, or stupidly just called Max now, and they have episode 6 as the real instead of the story of Gangstalicious. The story of Gangstalicious is episode 7 and the Huey Freeman Christmas is episode 8. I have no clue why it's like that, but I decided to talk about things in their original order. At the very beginning of the story of Gangstalicious, there is a disclaimer saying that the following is a completely fictional work of satire. Any similarities with actual rappers is totally, completely coincidental. Everything in this episode is just jokes. Don't take it personal. The episode begins with Riley watching a documentary about his favorite rapper, Gangstalicious. The documentary is called Gangstalicious Resurrection, which is narrated by Sway Calloway, who voices himself. He appears in a few episodes in the series. Sway in real life is a journalist, radio personality, and a man that's very well known for not having the answers. Ask Kanye. But some people might not know that back in the day, Sway used to be a rapper himself. In the documentary Gangstalicious Resurrection, it's revealed that Gangstalicious is a rapper from New West Manchester, Delaware, who was feuding with Eat Dirt and his crew. Their beef exploded when Eat Dirt was hit with a chair during an award show, which was first referenced in the 4th episode of the series. This is when it's revealed that it was Gangstalicious and his crew. It's further revealed that there was another altercation between Eat Dirt and Gangstalicious at a nightclub, which resulted in both rappers accidentally shooting themselves. The documentary would soon get interrupted with breaking news of Gangstalicious being shot again. He would be performing at a concert in Woodcrest and would be shot on stage, ironically, when he was performing his song, I Got Shot. Upon finding out this information, Riley would be on a mission to see Gangstalicious at the hospital. After drinking up Granddad's orange juice, Riley would be sent to the store to get some more, but he would disobey his granddad and would go to the hospital instead. He would meet Gangstalicious at the hospital, and being young and impressionable, Riley believed everything that Gangstalicious rapped about. Gangstalicious and Riley would soon find out that the people who shot Gangstalicious were looking for him in the hospital. This prompted Riley and Gangstalicious to escape from the hospital. This is when it became evident to Riley that Gangstalicious wasn't actually a gangster. Gangstalicious was not living up to his raps and was very scared of the people who shot him. He even dropped his gun during the shootout with his attackers. While trying to get away from the attackers, Gangstalicious would wreck a car, which led to him and Riley getting tied and put in the back of a car. While in the trunk, Gangstalicious reveals to Riley that his favorite rapper growing up was Ice Cube. Riley was puzzled by this because he looked at Ice Cube as a dude who makes family movies and didn't know that he was a gangster rapper. Gangstalicious was once young and impressionable just like Riley was. He thought Ice Cube was this big gangster and he wanted to be just like him. The attackers would take Gangstalicious to the woods where they would plan to get rid of him. Before they were to carry out these plans, the leader of the crew, Lincoln, would kiss Gangstalicious. This is when the truth of his sexuality is revealed. Thanks to bad aim, Gangstalicious would manage to get away from his attackers. I think that this episode is trying to shed light on a couple of different things. I would say the two main things that they're trying to shed light on is basically rappers not living up to their raps. Basically, they're just not as gangster as they portray themselves to be. And the other one is rappers being in the closet. I mean, obviously Gangstalicious being an example, he's trying to portray himself as a certain way, but in reality, he's really in the closet. This episode also further speaks about how rappers have self-incriminating lyrics. While Gangstalicious is in court, his music is being used against him as evidence during his assault trial. He has a song literally titled Play It For The Jury.
Play it for the jury, the defendant and the plaintiff, the court reporter and the bailiff. Play it for the jury.
This reminds me of Young Thug years later making a song called Take It To Trial.
Take this shit to motherfucking trial. Take this shit to motherfucking trial.
This song would be used as evidence against him during his RICO case. I guess he did as the song says and took his case to trial. I should note that Gangstalicious is voiced by rapper Mos Def. DJ Pooh voices the character of Mud Pie in this episode. He's the man being interviewed by the news about the shooting of Gangstalicious. He also served as a creative consultant for the series. DJ Pooh voices multiple different random characters in the series as well. In A Huey Freeman Christmas, Quincy Jones appears as himself. Huey brings him in to co-produce the Christmas play. In the 8th episode, The Real, Riley convinces Granddad to pretend to be blind so Exhibit can pimp his ride Dorothy. This episode marks Exhibit's first appearance in the series. He voices himself. The 9th episode of the Boondocks is the controversial Martin Luther King Jr. episode. A synopsis of the story of the episode is that MLK would be put in a coma for over 30 years as a result of an attempted assassination against him in 1968. He would wake up in the year 2000 with the world being drastically different. He experiences a surge in popularity that gets cut off after MLK makes a statement about how Americans must turn the other cheek after 9/11. While America turns its back on MLK after these comments, Huey convinces him to start a political party. The goal of this party would get misconstrued when MLK hires an urban promotions firm to advertise the party's planning meeting, which is advertised as a party and not a political party. This prompted MLK to take the stage and drop an N-bomb on the partygoers. This caused a lot of controversy for the show in real life, but I'm not diving too deep into that in this video. Martin Luther King Jr. then goes on a rant about BT in the show, calling it the worst thing that he's ever seen in his life. In this rant, he also mentioned Soul Plane, Michael Jackson, and Usher. Diddy is depicted as a character when Martin Luther King Jr. presents an award at the MTV Video Music Awards. Also, the song Wishing by Edo G featuring Masta Ace plays during the episode.
I wish the president would stop lying, black babies would stop crying, and young brothers would stop dying.
The 10th episode of the series is The Itis. Rapper Biz Markie is mentioned by Tom. There is also a song titled Straight Out the Oven, Made With Nothing But Lovin' by Asheru that plays during this episode. It appears that the song was only made for this episode and is probably not a complete song. Let's Nab Oprah would come next, and it would contain 3 Madvillain songs that play throughout it. Madvillain is a hip hop duo comprised of producer Madlib and rapper MF Doom. The first song from them that appears in this episode is Strange Ways off of their 2004 album Madvillainy. All of the tracks that appear in this episode are from this album. The Madvillain song Raid plays when Ed and Rummy storm into the bookstore to nab Oprah, but it turns out to be Maya Angelou. The last Madvillain song that is heard is All Caps. This plays during Huey's fight with Bushido Brown. Besides Huey's fight with the Blind Swordsman, this is up there with one of my favorite fight scenes in the series. After this would come Riley Was Here. In the episode Riley Was Here, Riley would spray paint Old Dirty Bastard on a house when his art teacher tells him to paint a picture of someone he loves that may not be with us anymore. ODB would sadly pass away in 2004. Wingman would be the 13th episode in the series. DJ Pooh voices the laughing funeral attendee in this episode. His character informs Granddad that his deceased friend Mo Jackson was badmouthing him right before his death. The music from Madvillain will make another appearance in the series. Their song Fancy Clown plays when Granddad has a flashback of when Mo stole his quote-unquote girl, Maybelline. There is believed to be a reference to Lil Brother when Dewey questions Huey about where his poems, sandals, and capris are if he's truly a revolutionary.
I'm sick of niggas looking bitch trying to read poems. They try to battle me with sandals and capris on. Come on, dawg.
The second to last episode of the first season is The Block Is Hot. The episode starts off with the song Fight the Power by Public Enemy. In Huey's MP3 player in this episode, there are numerous Public Enemy songs. Fight the Power, Can't Do Nothing For Your Man, and Shut 'Em Down are some of the songs that appear. Ed Wuncler Sr. in the episode would quote a line from the intro of Snoop Dogg's song Pump Pump from his album Doggy Style when he argues with Tom about Jasmine. Ed goes, "You know the name of the game. Your daughter chose me. Now we can handle this like some gentlemen, or we can get into some old gangster stuff." This is a line from what Snoop Dogg said, with the differences being that Snoop Dogg said the B word instead of daughter and didn't say the word old when describing gangster stuff. Speaking of Ed Wuncler Sr., when he first approaches the lemonade stand, he quotes Guru from Gangstar when he says lemonade was a popular drink and still is. This was said by Guru on the song DWYCK. In the last episode of the first season, The Passion of Reverend Ruckus, Tom expresses his dislike for Usher. He spoke about his dislike for people like Usher, Diddy, and Kobe. Tom's dislike for Usher would lead to a very notable episode in season 2. Season 2 would start to air in October of 2007. The first episode would be Or Die Trying. In this episode, after watching a trailer for the movie Soul Plane 2, The Blackjacking, Riley, Huey, and Granddad are interested in seeing the movie. Snoop Dogg is in the actual Soul Plane movie in real life, and he voices his character in the episode. 50 Cent doesn't appear in the actual Soul Plane movie, but he's in the sequel in the cartoon. 50 Cent is voiced by comedian Avion Crockett. The title of the episode is a reference to the film and album Get Rich or Die Trying by 50 Cent, which is also referenced numerous times throughout the episode. In the cartoon and the movie, the plane is a part of NWA. In the movie Soul Plane, the acronym NWA stands for Nashawn Wade Airlines. This is a reference to the legendary Compton-based rap group NWA. The second episode of season 2 is when Tom's dislike of Usher comes to play. Recently, this episode has been getting a lot of attention due to Usher out here seemingly damaging relationships left and right. Recently, there was a lot of drama with Usher surrounding him and Keke Palmer. I assume by now that we all know what happened, which caused the father of Keke's child to be upset. Keke and the father of her child would end up splitting not that long after everything went down. She would even appear in the music video for Usher's song Boyfriend. The funny thing about this episode is that it's based off a true story. Carl Jones was a producer for the show, and it was based on a real life situation with his ex-wife. He recently talked about this in a Vlad TV interview. Prior to season 2, Aaron McGruder took the people who worked on the Boondocks out to eat. While out eating, Usher walks into the restaurant, which instantly changes Carl's ex-wife's mood. Previous to this, she was very upset about the R. Kelly episode of the Boondocks after the people Aaron took out were discussing the episode. She refused to eat in protest of people still finding the episode funny. Her whole demeanor changed when Usher walked into the restaurant. She spent the rest of the time trying to get his attention. Before leaving, she would go to Usher's table and introduce Usher to everybody that Aaron took out to eat. She would introduce Usher to her at the time husband simply as Carl and not her husband. So the whole Usher episode is based on a true story. What makes it even funnier is that Carl Jones voices the waiter in the episode and instigates the whole situation between Tom and Usher. One of the most memorable scenes of the entire show is when Tom performs the Usher song Let It Burn. Huey references Omarion in the episode by telling Tom that things could be worse. It could have been Omarion, not Usher. This line definitely did not age well because Usher, in my opinion, is far worse to have around your girl. While Huey tries to console and cheer up Tom, the music heard playing in the background is similar to the instrumental version of the Outkast song Hollywood Divorce from the 2006 album Idlewild. The next episode is Thank You for Not Snitching. Part of this episode speaks on the hip-hop community being the driving force behind the Stop Snitching movement. Rappers ironically snitch on themselves a lot. Gangstalicious is mentioned as someone who reportedly rapped about assaulting a record executive with a tennis racket and a bottle of Hennessy. The executive refused to cooperate with the police. Gangstalicious went on to rap about this, which led to him being arrested. I believe this could be a reference to two things. On one front, people think that Gangstalicious appearing on TRL and bragging about committing an assault which leads to his arrest alludes to a 1993 episode of Yo and TV Raps. In an episode with Tupac, he would boast about assaulting Alan Hughes of the Hughes brothers over the movie Menace to Society. Tupac would later be arrested and convicted of his own statements.
Beat up the directors to Menace to Society. Let me tell the whole world.
All right, tell them why you did what you had to do.
These chump, punk, slump, you know what I'm saying?
you'll have a chance to come here and rebuttal.
No, they won't. They better come now. Check this out. They fired me, but did it in a roundabout punk snitch way. So I caught them on the streets and beat they behind. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was a menace to the East, brothers. And it ain't over. I still got more than the chunk because I read what you said about me. Kick that ass. I'm gonna kick that TV.
Aside from this, I personally believe that the Gangstalicious scene could also be a reference to when Diddy attacked Steve Stout back in the day. Long story short, Steve Stout used to be Nas's manager. Diddy featured on the Nas song Hate Me Now and also appeared in the music video. In the original video, there was a scene depicting Diddy and Nas being crucified. After filming Wrapped, Diddy had second thoughts about the crucifixion scene due to him being religious and having a talk with his pastor. Days before the video was set to air, he reportedly reached out to Steve Stout multiple times, in which he requested that all footage of him interacting with the cross be removed. However, there seemed to be an error in communication, and the version of the video with Diddy on the cross premiered on TRL. Diddy was watching live, and within minutes of the video premiere, Diddy and his bodyguards stormed into Steve Stout's office. The story goes that Diddy allegedly broke a champagne bottle on Steve's head. So this is why I think that this could also be a reference. Recently, snitching in hip-hop has been a very hot topic. I personally feel like ever since 6ix9ine, it's been a hot topic, but now with the whole YSL thing, it's been white hot. But with the episode after this, we get the return of Stinkmeaner. Ghostface Killah does the voiceover explaining what happened between Stinkmeaner and Granddad in season 1. Ghostface Killah also appears in this episode as the spirit form of himself, even though he's not dead. He warns Riley that Stinkmeaner is coming back from hell. During the scene, the instrumental to the Raekwon song A Pine Box Story is playing in the background. The full version of the song is available on YouTube and it's about a minute and a half long. It's produced by Ninth Wonder, who's credited multiple times throughout season 2 as a composer for additional music. Snoop Dogg and the Dog Pound are mentioned by Granddad in this episode when he's texting a girl he met online. Granddad also claims to have been a member of G Unit on his profile as well. A remixed version of the Boondocks theme song plays during the Freeman's fight scene with Stinkmeaner. The remixed version is done by Metaphor the Great. The full version of the song is available on YouTube and it's a minute long.
None that can stop me, leave it alone. I couldn't picture y'all calling me out on the camera phone. Cut from a different cloth, a force to be reckoned with. For y'all is the end of the line like the predicate.
The 5th episode of the 2nd season is when we finally get introduced to Thugnificent as an on-screen character. He's voiced by Carl Jones. Thugnificent is a rapper from Terra Belle, Georgia, which is regarded as one of the poorest and toughest towns in the nation. Later on in the episode, we get introduced to Thugnificent's crew, Lethal Interjection, with the characters Mactastic, who's voiced by Snoop Dogg, and Flownominal, who's voiced by Busta Rhymes. Thugnificent will go from rags to riches and would go on to move to a huge mansion in Woodcrest, in which Granddad takes an instant disliking to. Granddad would file a complaint against Thugnificent for excessive noise due to his parties. This prompts the Lethal Interjection crew to make a diss record called F Granddad aimed at Granddad, which features Nate Dogg on the hook. The song is promoted on BT by Terrence J and Fat Man Scoob on the radio.
You just mad cause your ass is old. Motherfucker. First thing you do is just pick up the phone. Interjection living next to your home.
One thing I never noticed is at the beginning of the F Granddad music video, it lists DJ Pooh as the director and says that Thugnificent is signed to Outer Scope Records, which is a reference to Interscope Records. In response to the diss track, Granddad will call up Exhibit for some help. Producer Big Tank will produce the diss track.
Oh, punk ass Nicholson never went to high school. That's why he's a mother fool. Mama was a fool.
In reality, Big Tank is credited as a music supervisor for 23 episodes and a composer for 18 due to his work on the Boondocks intro. Sway would appear in this episode when Thugnificent is promoting his new album. R. Kelly is mentioned by Riley when he first meets Thugnificent during his party, referencing the events of the R. Kelly episode in season 1. Attack of the Kung Fu Wolf Chick will come after this. Granddad mentions Jay-Z flying him to Cuba for a birthday party as a lie to get away from Luna, the Kung Fu Wolf Chick. At the end of Luna's speech about the Kumite, she loosely quotes the introduction to Ghostface Killah's song Mighty Healthy, which appeared on his 2000 album Supreme Clientele. The dialogue from the song is used from the 1979 film Shaolin Rescuers. The exact quote is, "They kill one man or kill 10. It's all the same. After all, they can only hang you once." The difference between this quote and Luna's is that instead of saying 10, she says a dozen. Shining would be the 7th episode of season 2. A quick synopsis of the Shining episode is that Riley tries to get fully initiated into the Lethal Interjection crew. He has to pass 3 tests, which he ultimately passes. Once he becomes a member, Thugnificent gives Riley a chain. While giving Riley the chain, Thugnificent speaks about the hate and envy that he's collected throughout the years from wearing it. Before this, Huey told Riley that he judges his success on the amount of ill will that he generates from those around him. Chains are a big part of hip-hop culture, and with the flexing of chains brings envy. Envy that can lead to a chain being snatched, which is exactly what happened to Riley. The character Butch Magnus would snatch Riley's chain. The episode ends with Phenomenal helping Riley get his chain back from Butch Magnus, which led to Phenomenal being beat up by Butch. Riley ultimately gets his chain back. The music video for the Thugnificent song Stomp 'Em in the Nuts plays during the episode. The director of this video is credited to Big Tank. When Riley gets gifted his chain, the song Riley's Theme starts playing, which is done by Metaphor the Great. The Lethal Interjection crew is reminiscent of Ice Cube's 4th solo album, Lethal Injection, which he released in 1993. When Thugnificent berates Mac-tastic about his hoes being late, Mac replies, "Quentin just texted me, he says the hose is en route." His response is a reference to the skit Quentin's on his way from the Far Side's 1992 album Bizarre Ride to the Far Side. In this skit, the Far Side crew calls up Quentin their weed man. The Ballin' episode would be next. Riley raps Lean With It, Rock With It by Dem Franchise Boys while he's dribbling a basketball in the house at the beginning of the episode. The instrumental to Nate Dogg's song I Got Love from his 2001 album Music and Me plays in the background of this episode and multiple episodes in the series. The Usher and Snitching episode in season 2 are some examples. In the 9th episode of season 2, The Invasion of the Katrinas, Lil Wayne appears as Nick Freeman. He's voiced by himself. It makes sense since Lil Wayne was actually born and raised in New Orleans, which was heavily affected by Hurricane Katrina. Neek, along with his parents, grandmother, and siblings, moved in with Granddad and his family following Hurricane Katrina. It was reported in 2014 that Lil Wayne was set to appear in season 4 of the Boondocks. It's kind of unclear if he was going to reprise his role as Neek or voice a completely different character. Either way, to my knowledge, he did not end up voicing anyone on season 4. In Home Alone, there's only one notable reference of note, and that's when Tom mentions Jay-Z boycotting Cristal when discussing Granddad's Do It Big trip in Costa Rica. Jay-Z would accuse the company that makes Cristal of being racist. Before this, rappers would frequently mention the champagne in their songs. The managing director of the company would be interviewed and be asked about how the brand viewed its association with rap. He says that they viewed it with curiosity and serenity. When asked if he thought the association with rap would harm the brand, he would say that they can't forbid people from buying it. While he couldn't forbid people from buying it, he did say that he was sure that Dom Perignon and Krug would be delighted to have their business. In response to this, Jay-Z would say, "It has come to my attention that the managing director of Cristal, Frederic Rosad, I don't know how you say that, views the hip-hop culture as unwelcome attention. I view his comments as racist and I will no longer support any of his products through any of my various brands, including the 4040 Club, nor in my personal life." To me, the S-Word episode might be the funniest episode in the entire series, mainly due to it being based on a real-life situation. Riley's teacher would call him the N-word, which led to a lot of backlash. While being interviewed for the news, the teacher emphasizes that he said the word with the A at the end instead of ER. The teacher, Mr. Pedo, then references rap songs that uses the word. Real Roll Called by Lil Jon, Bleed by Biggie, For Life by NWA, Real Don't Die by NWA, Shame On Her by the Wu-Tang Clan, Sucker by A Tribe Called Quest, Ain't No by Jay-Z, and Jigga My by the Rough Riders and Jay-Z. This episode is also the introduction to the character Rollo Goodlove, who's voiced by CeeLo Green. Rollo is a reverend, musician, and actor, among other things. Skipping to the second Gangstalicious episode, and in the beginning, there's a disclaimer similar to the disclaimer from the Gangstalicious episode in season 1. The episode starts off with a flashback of what happened in the Gangstalicious episode in season 1. After the flashback, it cuts to Huey reading a book on the couch, and Riley watches BT where Terrence J is on the screen hyping up the world premiere of Gangstalicious' new song and music video titled Homies Over Hoes. The music video and song is filled with not very subtle homosexual imagery and themes. Huey tries to point this out to Riley, but Riley does not realize this at the time. The intro plays after this scene, and coming back from the intro, we instantly get met with the gay rappers MC Booty B and Homo D. They talk about how the world was not ready for an openly gay rapper when they came out in the 1980s. After this, Gangstalicious would appear on a TV show where he would promote his clothing line. Some of the clothing being modeled was a super long tee with the backside cut out. Pearl necklaces, skirts, and a small wife beater were also modeled during Gangstalicious' appearance on TV. Gangstalicious would send Riley a box of clothing, which he would show off to Thugnificent and the Lethal Interjection crew. Thugnificent expresses interest in working with Gangstalicious after his song Homies Over Hoes outperforms his song. Riley informs Thugnificent that he can get him in touch with Gangstalicious, which causes the Lethal Interjection crew to get excited. A little while after this, Granddad would see Riley wearing the clothes that Gangstalicious sent him. He goes into a panic due to him being concerned that Riley is turning gay. We cut back to MC Booty B and Homo D, where they talk about how gay influence in rap culture had increased greatly in the last 10 years. They attribute this to rap culture being greatly influenced by prison culture, the fashion industry, and drug culture, specifically ecstasy, as being the reason why the gay influence has increased. The truth of Gangstalicious' sexuality is revealed to the world by Jessica Wonder Cheeks Ethelberg. She publishes a tell-all book and flat out says that Gangstalicious is gay. Jessica Wonder Cheeks Ethelberg is a parody of Kareen Steffens, aka Superhead, who wrote a tell-all book about the rappers she slept with. Fat Man Scoob will make an appearance on this episode when he interviews Gangstalicious about the allegations where he accuses Wonder Cheeks of snitching. After finding out about Gangstalicious' sexuality, the Lethal Interjection crew no longer wants to work with him. In his eyes, his career is now over. At the end of the episode, MC Booty B and Homo D poses the question of whether hip-hop will ever accept an hourly gay rapper. My answer is, I don't know. This would be the last episode to air in the United States during the season's initial run. The 14th episode would be The Hunger Strike, which initially was supposed to be titled BT Sucks. I've also read that the episode was originally going to air between the story of Thugnificent and Attack of the Killer Kung Fu Wolf Chick. Carl Jones has recently talked about what happened behind the scenes in this episode with DJ Vlad. In this interview, he talked about how Reginald Hudlin parted ways with the show after its failed Fox pilot. The split caused bad blood between Aaron Magruder and Reginald. After this, Reginald Hudlin went on to become the president of BET. He would serve as president between 2005 and 2008. Throughout the show's run, they would constantly make fun of BET, but in the last 2 episodes of season 2, they would really go in on Reggie. He would be depicted as the character of Wedgie Rutland in the show. According to Carl, one of Reggie's friends' wives was working at Sony at the time. Remember that the Boondocks was produced by Sony Pictures Animation. Aaron couldn't trust if Reginald's friend's wife would not tell Reginald about the show. Sony promised that the episode would not leak, and that's exactly what happened. Now that that's out the way, at the beginning of the episode, Rollo Goodlove mentions having a dinner with Diddy as to the reason why he cannot participate in Huey's hunger strike. He also mentions Puffy later on in the episode. During the protest against BET, Rollo Goodlove performed the song Go Go Gadget Gospel by Gnarls Barkley. CeeLo Green, who voices Rollo, is one half of the duo Gnarls Barkley with Danger Mouse. Rollo Goodlove reveals in the episode that he has a rap demo. He also says that he was hip to the dances that were hot at the time, and he mumbles the words to Crank That by Soulja Boy. When speaking about the reasons that Granddad likes BET, he would note one of them as being Beyonce. The last episode of season 2, the Uncle Ruckus reality show, would also be a banned episode, along with the BET episode. This is most likely due to the reasons why the Hunger Strike episode was banned. At the beginning of the episode, the popular R&B and hip-hop countdown show 106 & Park by BET is mentioned. Wedgie would say that he fired AJ and Free from 106 & Park because what they call success is what he calls failure. In reality, AJ and Free leaving 106 & Park was very disliked by the audience. AJ Calloway would say that he was told by a BET executive, Stephen Hill, that the network's new head of programming, Reginald Hudlin, was looking to change the face of the network. With AJ's contract up, he was offered a very brief extension that was no more than 3 months. So this is why the Boondocks reference this. Tone Loc is mentioned by Wedgie Rutland as a possible candidate to be a part of the fictional BET animation. While Uncle Ruckus is at his bus job, he denies Huey and Riley entry on his bus. When the two opt to just walk to school instead, Uncle Ruckus drives by and suggests that they go be rappers so they can beef and shoot each other. Furthermore, when Uncle Ruckus finds out that he's 102% African with a 2% margin of error, he decides to quit all 32 of his jobs. He doesn't know how he's going to pay his bills, which leaves him contemplating if he should sell crack or rap about selling crack. Uncle Ruckus has many hilarious comments in this episode about rap and its culture. He would tell Granddad that maybe they should buy sneakers and loud stereos and also berate women and rap lyrics. This episode would conclude season 2. Season 3 would air in 2010. The first episode would be It's a Black President, Huey Freeman. Thugnificent would be interviewed by Werner Herzog towards the beginning of this episode. Werner says that Thugnificent has found success like many black entertainers by being a professional buffoon. When Werner asks Thugnificent if he supports Barack Obama for president, he gives a response that is said to be a reference to an interview DMX had with XXL. In this interview, DMX would say that he did not know who Barack Obama was. His response to this was, "What the F is a Barack? Barack Obama? Were he from Africa?" When the interviewer explained that Obama's father was originally from Kenya, DMX would further say, "What the F? That ain't no effing name, yo. That ain't that dude's name. You can't be serious. Barack Obama, get the F out of here." At first, Thugnificent does not know who Barack Obama is, but then when he suddenly acts like he does, Werner calls him out. He says that Thugnificent is jumping on the Obama celebrity bandwagon to give him much needed exposure. This is evident when Thugnificent ends up doing a song with will.i.am called D-Riding Obama, which is about just what the title says. D-Riding Obama, Obama. Now we're D-Riding Obama, Obama. Probably my favorite original song from the series. It's truly hilarious. The song D-Riding Obama is a parody of the song Yes We Can by will.i.am and uses a similar instrumental to his song It's a New Day. It's a new day. After Obama wins the election, the next time Thugnificent is interviewed, he's listed as a rapper / activist instead of just being a hip-hop entertainer like when he was first interviewed by Werner. This is when Thugnificent mentions that since Obama won, he will replace the N-word with Obama's name, along with replacing the B-word with his wife Michelle's name. This is a reference to something Jim Jones said in 2008. Jim would be interviewed by Torre, and in this interview, Jim confessed that the 2008 presidential election inspired him to drop the N-word from his vocabulary and replace it with Obama. This definitely did not last long, but I absolutely did not know this happened, and it's hilarious that it ever did. Thugnificent would declare himself a black leader after Obama becomes president, but struggles in this new environment with politics due to his lack of knowledge of the subject. Earlier on in the episode, Thugnificent expresses his desire to change up his look by wearing tighter clothes and looking more grown up so people can take him more seriously. However, this did not really work out, with people like Bill Maher shedding light on the songs that Thugnificent made during his rap career, like Stomp 'Em in the Nuts. Recognizing his failures, Thugnificent returns back to his normal self that we all know him for. At the beginning of the episode, it's said by Werner that Obama and Huey are MySpace friends. This is a reference to when the rapper MC Jin became one of Obama's top MySpace friends after he did a song called Open Letter to Obama.
Obama, I don't know politics, that's no joke, but I do know that I get one vote. You wanna make change, then you gotta take note. What you gonna do, huh? Take it to the polls.
Obama would message Jin on MySpace thanking him for his support. The second episode of season 3 is when Thugnificent's rap career really begins to fall apart when he gets into a beef with a young and upcoming rapper named Sgt. Gutter. Riley mentions that Sgt. Gutter has the #1 record in the country, has a dance, and sold over 1 million records. Thugnificent does not like Sgt. Gutter and dislikes the idea of people creating a dance to go platinum during that time. He informs Riley that he's working on a new album titled Mo Girls, Mo Problems, inspired by the Biggie song Mo Money, Mo Problems. After hearing the new album, Riley is disappointed by Thugnificent's use of autotune. This is not a direct reference, but Jay-Z would famously make a song called Death of Autotune in 2009, which appeared on his album The Blueprint 3. In his eyes, by then, autotune had become a gimmick due to its overuse. He felt like some artists were using it as a crutch. With this episode, we would also see the breakup of the Lethal Interjection crew. Flo Nominal would get a regular job, and Mactastic would go back to pimping. Thugnificent and his crew did not live up to his words because in season 2, he would say that if rap did not work, they would all be running up in people's houses. Later on in this episode, Thugnificent gets interviewed by DJ Vlad. Earlier on in the series, I mentioned how Carl Jones did an interview with DJ Vlad, and during this interview, he would explain how DJ Vlad made it on the show. Carl would say that Vlad TV was a great inspiration for the Boondocks and the Super Rumble mix show. He compared it to being their version of the Daily News. Thugnificent was initially supposed to be interviewed by a random character, but DJ Vlad would be brought in instead. When Thugnificent was interviewed by DJ Vlad, he would be asked about how he feels about Sgt. Gutter. He would reply that Sgt. Gutter can eat a D. Due to him dissing Sgt. Gutter, his new album would flop majorly. He would end up being dropped by his record label, Outer Scope Records. Thugnificent did not know why his rap career was failing because he was doing what rappers typically do. He tried to use autotune, he instigated rap beef, and even tried to make it dance. After his album flopped, Thugnificent tried to get an office job, but this did not really work out well, which led to him not getting the job and Flo Nominal being fired as well. Side note, Busta Rhymes did not voice Flo Nominal for this episode, it was Kevin Michael Richardson. This is why he sounds different. When getting a job does not work out, Thugnificent tries to sell drugs, but this doesn't go good as well. He would infamously try to sell burnt crack. Before he sells crack, he listens to the song Show You How to Cook Crack to learn how to make it.
Bring me your fiend by, you gotta have a taster. Pull the water from the oil, get a turkey baster. Also that baking soda will help you stretch that. Metaphor the plumber, I show you crack.
While out trying to sell crack, Thugnificent runs into a fan who loves his music but dislikes his last album. After Thugnificent fails to sell drugs, he decides to call a man named Steve from Hollow Point Records to sell him drugs. This meeting with Steve seems to go well at first, with Steve wanting to sign Thugnificent to his label instead of buying drugs from him. This greatly upset Ed Wunsler III because he wanted to sell the drugs. This ends in a shootout with Steve, which ultimately leaves Thugnificent without another record deal. At the end of the episode, Thugnificent gets a brand new look with him cutting off his signature afro puffs. He would reveal that he now works for UPS. This is a reference to the famous Biggie lyric on the Flavor in Your Ear remix where he says, "Don't be mad, UPS is hiring." The Sgt. Gutter and Thugnificent beef in this episode is inspired by the real-life beef between Soulja Boy and Ice-T. Soulja Boy is who Sgt. Gutter is based on. The two would feud online, and Ice-T did tell Soulja Boy to eat a D. Also, Sgt. Gutter has a song called Crank That Artichoke, which is a reference to the Soulja Boy song Crank That Soulja Boy. Let's skip ahead to the 5th episode of season 3, which is Think Meaner 3, The Hateocracy. At the beginning of the episode, we get introduced to the song BAN by JJ the Genius. There's also a different version of the song that appears on the second Hip Hop Docktrine on the Thugnificent edition. This version features David Banner and it's awesome. The next episode in the series is Smoking with Cigarettes. The song You My by Metaphor the Great plays during Riley and LaMilton's hood rap montage. During the fight scene with LaMilton and Riley, the song presumably by Metaphor the Great playing in the background has a similar beat to Eric B and Rakim's song Know the Ledge, which was made for the movie Juice, which is frequently referenced throughout this episode. In the fundraiser, rapper Beanie Sigel is referenced multiple times throughout the episode, mainly by Cindy McPherson. She would even quote him by telling people that they either get down or lay down, which is a line Beanie would say in the 2002 movie State Property. Later on in the episode, the get down or lay down line would be said by Alistair Rigby. The scene in which Cindy and her friends bully a girl for selling on their territory is taken and inspired from a skit on the remix of Raekwon's song Can It Be All So Simple, which appears on his album Only Built for Cuban Links.
I just seen this kid over there, right over there, around the corner over there, and I know she ain't down with your team. Ho! I don't know, some skinny, big-headed bitch.
Hey, yo, I just seen this kid over there, right over there by your building and shit. I know he ain't down with your team.
When Riley tells Alistair Rigby off, he says, "My president is black and my Lambo is blue." These are lines from the Young Jeezy song My President, which was released after Obama won his presidential election. The song would appear on Young Jeezy's 2008 album The Recession. Thugnificent appears in the episode working as a delivery man, which is continued from the second episode of the season. Moving on to the pause episode, and this would be another banned episode. This episode did initially air on TV because I vividly remember watching the episode when it premiered and thought that it was hilarious. Not that long after the episode, I remember everyone around me was saying pause due to the episode. Though it would initially air, the episode would not be on reruns on Adult Swim. Tyler Perry would be very pissed due to the character of Winston Jerome obviously being a parody of him. To put it in perspective, Tyler Perry had 3 shows on TBS, which is owned by Turner Broadcasting. This is the same company that Cartoon Network and Adult Swim are under. The 3 shows that Tyler Perry had were Meet the Browns, House of Pain, and the next year in 2011 would come Tyler Perry's For Better or Worse. His shows were drawing numbers for the network. Once again, according to Carl Jones, Tyler Perry put in a call to the network asking them to never ever air the episode again, and that's what exactly happened. This episode only has a few references, with one being a reference to Ice Cube. Ice Cube is mentioned when Winston Jerome asks Granddad to renounce Ice Cube and all of his works, including the movie Friday, which Granddad loves. It's kind of a running joke throughout the series that Granddad or other characters reference Friday, especially because the voice actor for Granddad, John Witherspoon, plays Ice Cube's dad, Willie Jones, in the Friday franchise. In the episode, Granddad would tell Winston Jerome that Beyonce and Alicia Keys are the type of women that he wants. Jumping to the episode, the story of Lando Freeman, the song Move 'Em Titties by James Armfield and Jonathan Jackson plays when Lando and Granddad go to the strip club. In the lovely Ebony Brown, Granddad tells Riley and Huey that he should be someone totally different like Tyrese Chris Brown. He said this because he felt like Ebony Brown, which is the girl that he was seeing at the time, was too good for him. He did not want to be a dorky old man. In Mr. Medicinal, Tom refers to Granddad as Going Bobby and Whitney, which is a reference to Bobby Brown and Whitney Houston. Outside of their music careers, they were notorious for their drug use. In this episode, Thugnificent suggests to Granddad that he should smoke weed to deal with this stress. He would introduce him to the character of Grant, aka the Weed Kingpin. The Fried Chicken Flu episode would be another episode that got a lot of attention due to the Popeye's chicken sandwich craze in 2019. Thugnificent makes an appearance to stay with the Freemans during the Fried Chicken Flu crisis. He gets kicked out of the Freeman house after sleeping with Tina, who Granddad brings in to stay with them during the crisis. After being kicked out, he would help the Freeman family escape from the Woodcrest Fried Chicken Flu militia. The episode ends with the song Bone Suckin' Good. I've seen that this might be a reference to the KFC commercials that MC Hammer did in the 90s. Those necessarily did not age well. We will now skip to the last episode of season 3, which is It's Going Down. In this episode, Omar Muhammad is the man who gets kicked in the nuts by Jack Flowers for refusing to talk. His full name is Omar Abdul Hassan Asad Abad Ali Shaheed Muhammad. The Ali Shaheed Muhammad part of his name is believed to be a reference to Ali Shaheed Muhammad of the hip-hop group A Tribe Called Quest. Speaking of A Tribe Called Quest, they are constantly mentioned by a pimp named Slickback due to people not saying his whole name. Just like A Tribe Called Quest, you must say his full name. Also in this episode would mark the last appearance of the White Shadow. He talks to Huey at the beginning of the episode, and Huey mentions that he's a retired domestic terrorist. The White Shadow responds that just because he says that he's retiring doesn't mean that he's actually retiring. He compares this to Jay-Z retiring in 2003 after the Black Album. The Black Album was built up to be Jay-Z's last album. He would be named the president of Def Jam Records at the end of 2004. This is what his focus would be on now, but it would be a very short-lived retirement, with him dropping his comeback album Kingdom Come in 2006. Not that long after this, Jay-Z stepped down from his role at Def Jam. After season 3, Aaron McGruder, the creator of the show, would leave. Carl Jones would leave as well. As for Aaron McGruder, leaving the show would be explained by Adult Swim as a result from his inability to agree upon working schedules. Michael B. Jordan, who played the character of Pretty Boy Flizzy in the season premiere of the 4th season, would say that Aaron was fired, but also admitted to not knowing the specifics of the situation. What has been widely said by multiple people, including people who have directly worked on the Boondocks, is that Sony were not happy with Aaron's writing speed. Season 4 is widely panned by both fans and critics for different reasons, but mainly for Aaron's absence. You can tell that the show was no longer his vision. To me, season 4 started off okay, but as it went on, it just went downhill from there. Season 4 would be released in 2014, and I remember when it was released. I was in middle school at the time. I was super hyped for it, and I remember liking the first episode, which is about Pretty Boy Flizzy. As I mentioned earlier, he is voiced by Michael B. Jordan and is based on singer Chris Brown. Pretty Boy Flizzy's beating of Christiana references what really happened between Chris Brown and Rihanna. The plot of the episode is that Pretty Boy Flizzy gets arrested for armed robbery. He exchanges relationship advice for a lawyer, which is Tom Dubois. Towards the end of the episode, Tom finds out that Flizzy staged the robbery because, according to Flizzy, he had to stay relevant. He felt like you had to act like an idiot to stay in people's faces. Staying in the right amount of trouble allowed him to be relevant. Women are his audience, and women hate to be bored, according to him as well. Earlier in the episode, he would say that women want him because he's a screw up and women don't have any self-respect for themselves. R. Kelly is mentioned in the episode when Flizzy says that he wanted the man who got R. Kelly off of his case. Flizzy was incorrect in selecting Tom because Tom was trying to prosecute R. Kelly, not get him off. Pretty Boy Flizzy has a song called You Make Me Wanna which could be a cross between the songs You Make Me Wanna by Usher and Make 'Em Say by Master P. He also has a song called I Wanna Do Your Wife, which is performed by Jeremy Faglier. It appears on the bonus edition of the Music for the Boondocks series.
I wanna do your wife. I wanna do your wife.
The man that made this song is named Jeremy Faglier, and he also made the song Getting Drunk Effing Strippers, which also plays in this episode. Nicki Minaj is mentioned when a reporter says that Flizzy was fighting in the VIP section of a nightclub with her. Sadly, season 4 does not have many rap and hip hop references, as we'll see. In the episode Good Times, Granddad gets a Gangstalicious card and says that it's the key to financial independence. He also got the Lil Wayne card. I'm assuming that this might be a reference to when Russell Simmons got a card called the Rush card. He started the Rush card back in 2003. Lil Wayne did have a prepaid Discover card called the Young Money Prepaid Discover card. This was released in 2011, but did not really go well to my knowledge. The next episode is Breaking Granddad, and in this, the song Bomb Wave Cream by Metaphor the Great plays during the episode.
We cook it, we pack it, we move it, we stack it. We re-up, we flip it, we all acrobatics. You see us, yeah, we up, I know you mad at it. We fiends like they be, we all cash addicts.
There is not another notable reference until the Granddad Dates a Kardashian episode. Hughie gets a signed Ray J CD from Kardashian's assistant as a default gift due to him not making a wish list. This one really should not be explained. If you know, you know. During the restaurant scene, a woman says, "Oh my god, look at her butt," which is a reference to the song Baby Got Back by Sir Mix-a-Lot. Kanye West is referenced in the episode, but not by name. Hughie warns Granddad about Kardashian. When warning him, Hughie mentions that Kardashian once dated a rapper who went from saying George Bush doesn't care about black people to wearing a leather kilt. In reality, this would not be entirely true. Kanye would say that George Bush did not care about black people in 2005. He would start dating Kim around 2012. The leather kilt comment that Hughie made is true because Kanye did wear one, but he isn't accurate in a sense because Kanye would first wear a leather kilt around the Watch the Throne era. That album was released in August of 2011, which was before Kim and Kanye were officially dating. So Kanye was wearing a kilt before he ever officially got with her. In the last 2 episodes, there are only a few rap-related references. In Begun the Clone War Has, Think Meter mentions 25 years of thug rap, the movie Scarface, and crack as being partial ingredients for an N-word moment. Finally, in the last Boondocks episode ever, The New Black, Rallo Goodlove mentions his new mixtape, which has a feature from Coco of R&B trio SWV or Sisters with Voices. And just like that, we have run through the entire series. I would not necessarily say that it was a grind to get through all of these episodes because this show is one of my favorite shows of all time, if not my favorite. However, we're not done talking about the show because the Boondocks would release multiple Boondocks related mixtapes. These mixtapes were comprised of original music from the series along with licensed music. If you have never heard these mixtapes before, I highly recommend that you go listen to them. At least go listen to the first 2 because those are incredible. The first 3 are in a series called the Hip Hop Docktrine, with the second one having 2 different versions. The first Hip Hop Docktrine would release in 2006 to coincide with season 1. To me, this is the best one. The Little Brother song featuring Mos Def called Let It Go is insane.
No regression, host a session. It's pro-black, pro-progressive, so effective. The ninth wonder is a little bro collective.
Hip Hop Docktrine 2 The Saga Continues would come out in 2007 alongside season 2. This one would have 2 different versions. There would be a Hall of Just Us version and a Thugnificent version. The differences are that the Thugnificent edition has his songs on it and different songs altogether from the Hall of Just Us version. A song that I really mess with off of the Hall of Just Us version is a song called No Fear, which features Cool C Brown, Fonte, and Asheru.
You was like Kingpin versus Lookout. With my ink pen, I done took out niggas like you looking scared in the corner with a book out. Back to your girl like Paul Wall at a cookout.
As for the Thugnificent edition, I would have to say that I really enjoyed the Ghostface Killah song Save Me Baby.
Her name was Kim, this light-skinned girl from Shaolin. Stood by my side when my world was caved in. She cooked for me, fixed me up, plus made me happy. Every time she told me she loved me, I said no back.
Hip Hop Docktrine 3, the final chapter, was released in conjunction with season 3. I really thought that this one was alright. I only messed with a few songs from this mixtape, with one being the Big Crit song Money Out Here.
Now who you know talk that pimp shit better than the mag? Know your all state veteran ever seen. I fell out the room, it was ever then. I grow and fly than eagles and bigger than elephants. Suited like rebel green, mouthpiece elegant.
This would be the last Hip Hop Docktrine because the last Boondocks related mixtape would be titled The Boondocks Mixtape Season 4. The worst of the series in my opinion, but by far the best song to me on this mixtape is the John Connor song titled The City.
Fatality is normality, casually deal with tragedy. Weapons in the academy, students checking the faculty. Truth is this is insanity. Northern, Northwestern, Amityville horror ain't got shit on Dayton and Landis Street.
I also do know that at least on Spotify, there's an official compilation of music from the Boondocks as I mentioned. It has songs like D Riding Obama, It's Terrible and Terrible, Crank That Artichoke, etc. Unfortunately, a Boondocks reboot had been in the works, but it would ultimately be scrapped. As much as I wanted the show to be left alone, I was and still am curious about what the show's take on modern rap and hip hop culture could be. Many people already say that they predicted where the culture would be today. Let me know in the comments if you learned anything new in the video. Did you finally find out the song that you've been looking for years? Let me know, because I would happily love to talk about this show in the comment section with you guys. All in all, let me know what you think about this video in the comment section below. I love you guys with all my heart. Peace.